special podcast, Fierce and Feminine. This series has definitely taken off with a great start. And today we're so blessed and honored to be able to have one more of our powerful leaders that we've been able to see bloom through her years. We were talking about it earlier, and it's like, wow. So many amazing years have happened. So much have happened. And what a blessing it is to be able to continue to be here, to empower you. And most importantly, that you get to see how we get to evolve. And it's limitless, right? We have in the room today, Miss Stephanie Rios. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be with you here.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
How do you feel? Is this your first podcast?
Yes, it's actually my first podcast. I've been, watching all of them, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to be there. Super exciting to hear from everybody, and I'm excited to be here today with you.
What we love more about empowering and empowerment inside of Team Beauty is the fact that we have real women, real stories, and so relatable to everybody in our community. And so we want to know your story today. We want you to share with us all the goods. So share with us, who are you? How did you start? How old were you when you started? All the good before Team Beauty.
Okay, so old Steph I was about 21 years old when I first, started back then. I was going to school full time. I had a small part-time job, and I was a brand new mom. To me, it was a young mom, right? A lot of people are like, at 20 years old, that's not young. And I'm like, girl, do you know what it is to have kids? And I'm like, it was young, like I had no idea what life was aside from going to school and work, right? That was my everyday. So becoming a mom, my world started changing. And that's when I was like, okay, now I have to take care of somebody 24/7, and they rely on me to stay alive. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I barely even know how to keep myself alive. So now I have to take care of this little one. Mm-hmm. Me and my husband were both living at my in-laws. That was our reality. We were in one room of the house, and that was where we had everything, like my son's toys, his clothes, our stuff. Sometimes we had like our snacks and stuff, like a mini fridge there going on type of vibe. Everything was living off of that room. And, when I came across Team Beauty, I remember I was, new to Instagram. So I know Instagram today is super popular. I was brand new to Instagram. I saw a post and I immediately commented on it. Mind you, I was somebody who had no social life. I didn't have any friends to hang out with. But I was just like, I want something different. I felt like I was more than just a mom and a student going to school. And I was like, this is not my life. Like I feel like I'm missing that little fun part of it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to lose weight. So I saw that they were working out. And I was like, let me just shoot them a message. My sponsor reached out and I started my Team Beauty journey. And that's when I began. And I fell in love with everything. The whole journey, I got amazing results my first experience, and from there on I've been here 8 years later.
8 years later. ¿Y ahora cuántos años tienes y cuántos niños tienes?
I knew you were gonna ask. Yeah, so now fast forward to today, I'm 29 years old. I'm a mom of 3 now, and it's been such a blessing. I love how I've been able to grow up with Team Beauty. Team Beauty has a special place in my heart, like for sure, because I have grown into a different woman every single year, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the empowerment and the community that we have here.
Yes, I love it, Steph. You're still in your 20s, by the way.
Yeah.
So you're over here acting like you're old, but you're still in your 20s.
I guess the whole mom thing and having more kids, ya te sientes más señora.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, definitely. And we're going to talk about that, right? Like being able to grow up, or, maybe even like life expectations. Right? What is the expectation of life? What is the expectation of being a mom? How is it all supposed to be? And then reality.
Yeah.
Reality, Steph, inside of Team Beauty, what is it that you feel in the times that you've been down that, obviously is like, this is what I hold near to my heart. This is the reason why Team Beauty, because a lot of the times we start because of our physical transformation. Many of our beauties listening to this podcast are in a physical transformation. But beyond the look of losing 20 pounds or getting a small waist, what is it for you that has truly created an impact, obviously, for starting off because you wanted weight loss?
Yeah. So I think for me, what always brings me back, other than just like the community, is like, here in Team Beauty, I feel like I found myself. Like I found a different person in me, and I fell in love with that. Like the whole evolving throughout the years, and even though life has hit me throughout the years, I've always known that I can come back here because it's my safe place. This is my little box. A lot of people have things going on in life, but they don't have that little box. And for me, Team Beauty has always been it. I can just open it and go inside, and I'm healed. That's how I feel here. Like during my pregnancies, during the hard times, financial situations, everything like that, it's always been here. Not too sure if you want me to go into depth with that. So
Yes, talk to us.
okay, so for me, my journey has been very different, I want to say, because when I started, I wanted to lose weight, right? Like that was my main thing. I wanted to lose weight. Never did I imagine that, there would be like an income opportunity here. So when I first started, I was that stubborn little girl that wanted to be in everything, like there's going to be this going on and that going on. And I was like, I don't need to be there. So I was that person. And throughout the years, I also wanted to grow my family, So my husband started leaving to work. He works in the refineries. He started leaving to work. And throughout those years, we wanted to get pregnant, and it wasn't happening for us. We both were like, okay, it's probably the distance, we're not, hitting the numbers, the weeks, all that stuff. So we were just like, okay, it's fine. It's not our time. It's, everybody would tell me it's God's timing and all these things. And, on year 5, I was like, okay, 5 years into this, like something's wrong. I don't feel like it's God's timing at this point. Like at this point, I'm like questioning myself, and I'm like, can I not get pregnant? Is it him? Is it me? What is going on? And that's when we took the decision, to see a doctor. I remember showing up to that appointment, and I was already scared. I already knew in my mind something was wrong. So when she tells me, like,
It was about facing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You felt it already, and it was like now you were facing the reality of the situation.
Yes, and I think that was, for me, that was also a very hard step to make, because he kept telling me, like, you need, go, like, there's nothing wrong, just go check yourself. Let's get that out of, like, how do you say it, when you lo sacas de la cuenta, ¿verdad? Like you're getting it out of the way, that there's nothing wrong, that now we can move forward. Or if there is something wrong, we can find a solution. My husband was very positive throughout the whole time. And when I showed up, and she tells me, like, well, there's a lot of cysts in your ovaries, she starts asking me for my symptoms and what I'm facing and experiencing. And then she ends up telling me, you have PCOS. And I was like, what is that? I'm like, I've never even heard of this condition, and I'm just like confused, and I'm like, I want to cry, and I'm like, can I have babies? Can I not have babies? She's like, you can, but it's going to be very difficult. So she was not very positive about it. Her body language, her reaction was not so positive. So me traumé. I was like, you know what? I can't have kids right away. I was like, I can't have kids. Like, I went home. I was devastated. I told my husband, like, we're not going to be able to have any more kids. Like, this is going on. And he was like, no, like, go get a second opinion. Like, we have to move forward. And that's when I started, going into this hole of, like, I can't get pregnant. So, happy Steph that was, like, showing up to everything and being that positive person for others was, needing that positivity. And I was just like, what am I going to do now? If I was sent to earth to have kids, like God created a woman and for us to create life, and I can't do it anymore. And people would tell me, well, you already have a child. Like, why do you want more? Like, be grateful. Some people can't even have kids. And I was just like, No.
Because you wanted a bigger family.
Yes, like my dream growing up was always to be a mom, and I knew I wanted to have a big family. I would tell my husband like we want to have 5 kids, right? Before the kids, I was like I want to have 5 kids and all these things. So when it wasn't happening, it took a toll on me physically, mentally. I had anxiety, I had depression. I didn't want to face it. I was just so like it's not gonna happen. That's it. Get over it, let's move on, don't think about having kids anymore. Pero cada vez que miraba a alguien embarazada, me partía el alma. I want to cry. Like, it hurt. And I was like, no. Like, my husband, I remember the last time he asked me to try one more time to see another doctor, my best friend, had just told me like, go see this doctor, he's really good, like I'm seeing him, he's treating my condition, and maybe he can help you. And I was like, no, like, you guys, it's not gonna happen, I'm done. And my husband takes me, he just so happens to be here, and we go to our first appointment. And I'm always thankful for my gynecologist, because the second we stepped into that room, he was a positive energy. He's like, my job here is to get you pregnant, and it's gonna happen.
Wow.
And I stepped out of there.
What a difference.
Yes, like when they tell you to go for that second opinion, like, you need to do it. Like, nunca te aferres nomás a una cosa. And we left there like what happened?
Yeah, bring it down.
We left that room with hope, with a lot of hope. And we did everything the doctor told us to. We, followed through and everything. I didn't have to go through an IVF journey. I just went through a smaller treatment. It was just like a couple months. And I was just so happy. And when my husband left to work, I was like, here we go again. It's not going to happen. He's gone. How are we going to finish our treatment? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And within 4 months, I still remember we were living at my dad's at that time because we were building our house. I remember my dad's husband was like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, what? Like, why would you say that? Like, my husband's not even here. Like, he just came like for a day and he left. Like,
pero aprovechaste. You took
siempre.
advantage, girl.
Eso siempre. Sorry, Dad. We were living in his house. Me dice, aquí pasó la magia. So, my husband had just been there, and then my dad's husband asked me, like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, no, why would you say that? I'm over here picking up we had just received our bar stools, and my dad's everything was getting shipped. So I was about to lift it, and he's like, no, like, let your dad help me because I think you're pregnant. And I was like, that's so random. Like, we have not talked about pregnancy. They already knew that talking about it was not something that I took lightly. So when he made that comment, it just stuck in my head, and I'm like, well, I already missed my period. I'm like, it's normal for me to miss my period. It's something common for me. But I just kind of had that little itch. I was like, I'm just going to check. I'm like, what happens? Like, let me just check. Another negative test. Like, I'm already used to it. At this point, I had already had more than 20 negative tests in my whole, journey to getting pregnant. So I had lost count after 20 because I was like, it was affecting me so much. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to do them anymore. And that day I decided to do it. I went to the dollar store nearby, came back home, bought the dollar ones. Those are the best. And de volada se pintaron las líneas. I saw the 2 pink lines after 7 years trying. My heart exploded. I was in disbelief. I was like, what is going on? I'm like, I just immediately started crying. The first thing I did was I messaged my best friends, and I'm like, what is going on? I can't breathe. Like, my heart. They were like, what happened? What happened? And I sent them the picture, and they were like crying with me. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to hold this emotion? And from there, I went back to my gynecologist. I got my pregnancy confirmation. We saw baby for the first time. We saw my baby. We saw the heartbeat. We heard it. And I waited like 3 weeks to tell my husband until he
Oh
came
my
back
gosh,
home.
how did you do that?
I waited.
How
And
could you do that?
it was the hardest thing because we would talk every day.
Yes.
And imagine, yo quería gritar al mundo. Like, I wanted to scream and I wanted people to know I was pregnant. And, he came home. I did a little setup and I surprised him. And it was the best. It was the best. And we were very happy. It was such a beautiful experience, like my favorite. I to this day, that pregnancy was just, it holds a special place in my heart. All of my kids do, right? But that journey to, having my second born was beautiful.
And now, obviously, you have 3 children, right? It's what a miracle, what a blessing, there's so much that we could say after listening to you right now. Like, ni hablaba. I had a knot in my throat because, being a woman, our series is fierce and feminine, right? And so being bold, being strong, and also allowing that feminine side, right, come out of us. And inside of motherhood, inside of being a wife, inside of, creating this space for us as women, right, it's also being vulnerable, right? And so up to now, in this journey of obviously blessed to be a mom of 1 and, a hard 7 years to fight for, like that hope of becoming a mom again. You've expressed, that feeling, that sentiment, maybe letting go of certain things, like because you're sad, because you're hopeless, because, and there was still a little bit of hope inside of you, that there was still a little bit of that courage that allowed you to continue to give it a chance, right? And so now that you have 3, you had your third very fast.
Yes.
I'm like, Steph, did you have your third because it's like, I don't know what's going to happen again? Was it planned? Was it not planned? What was that? Because how far apart is your third?
I was 4 months postpartum when I got pregnant with my third. And it's crazy because, like, my second born, she's like our miracle baby. Like, I would, throughout my Teen Beauty journey, I got to see Teen Beauty sisters like, yourself and others share their pregnancy through our Teen Beauty journey. And I was able to do that with my second born. And I loved it. I was like, it was so beautiful to be able to share my pregnancy, to continue helping women, continue inspiring them, showing them that, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's exactly what Teen Beauty did for me throughout my experience, right? Because even though I was struggling and I was going through that battle, I was still able to plug into something like a community to give me that positivity. And then now when I would see someone post their healthy pregnancies, I was like, that's going to be me. And it happened for me. So then, having my third, it was crazy, just to say, because we were so, I was sharing, like, nos dio una trauma. We were so scared to go through that lump again. I'm like, okay, I'm not someone that's fertile. I'm not someone that gets pregnant naturally anymore. I had to take pills. I had to take medication, a little bit of science. So I'm like, am I going to go through this again? I know I want more kids. Both me and my husband were on the same page. We wanted one more, at least one more. And we were both like, he was as scared as I was. Well, obviously as a male, he portrayed that strong person that I needed throughout our struggling years. So when we both talked about it, we were like, you know what? Like, we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait so much time. We just want to kind of, shorten the years. At first, it was like, we're going to wait a year, wait for her to be a year, and then we'll get pregnant again. And then it became 6 months, and we're like, okay, 6 months sounds better. We'll keep trying at 6 months and on, right? And then I remember I had just turned 4 months. I was like 4.5 months postpartum, and we were like, you know what? Let's just try. Maybe I won't even get pregnant. I'll probably struggle till like a year again. So we ended up trying, the
You
fun
had a
part.
wild night.
We had the fun part, and then from there, and my husband came down. We had his sister's wedding, and I'm so bloated. Like I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. And I'm like, imagine I'm pregnant, and we start laughing, right? And then we're like, no, that's too soon. So we're like, yeah. We go to CVS afterwards, and I get a pregnancy test, and I come out, and I'm like, it's positive, and it was negative, right? It was negative. So we both laughed about it, and we're like, oh my god, like, and he's like, dude, I low key wanted it to be positive, and I'm like, well, it's not. So I'm like, maybe we need to wait. Maybe it's a sign that we're rushing it. So así se quedó, and we were like, okay, fine, whatever. And then the following week, I'm like, Thanksgiving comes around, I'm drinking wine, I'm having a good time with my family, but I'm extremely bloated, like more than I was the previous week. Like my pants were like, I'm like, girl, you already lost 25 pounds. Like, what's going on? You know? So then that weekend, my husband is back to work, and I'm like, I'm going to check myself again. So I check myself, y que voy viendo las dos lines. I'm like, what? I did not even surprise anybody. I'm just like, I call my husband. I'm like, check your phone right now. And he's like, ¿Qué pasó? I'm on the road. I'm driving. And I'm like, check your phone. And he sees it, and he's like, you're pregnant. I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, I'm pregnant. And then I'm like, at this point, I'm nervous. I want to cry. I'm happy. All the emotions are going through my mind. I'm just like, dude, I'm pregnant again. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, my husband's extremely excited. He's like, we're going to be fine. You're awesome. You're such a good mom. You're going to get it all done. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We passed through the second one. The third one's going to be an easy breeze. We're going to be fine. Like, we got this. And
Total professional.
We're a professional at this. We know what's up. We know how to do a boy. We know how to do a girl. We got it. That was my mentality. But things changed, right?
What's been going on with well, now we're better, right? But what happened now that fast forward, have our third babies, for how many months apart?
They're 4.5 months apart.
4.5 months apart.
Yeah, it's a 13-month gap. So a year and a month.
Yes. And it's like, what happens to Stephanie in the process? And tell me, there's so many women that could be going through this right now. It's like, what are the action steps? How do we get out of it? How do we embrace it and not dive into the darkness more, right? Like, what happened to Stephanie after, the blessings of being a mom, the blessings of having children? You have them right in front of you. You have a powerful community, an amazing husband that supports you.
Yes.
And what happens to Stephanie?
So, having baby, I remember my last few months pregnant. That's when things started changing, right? Because I'm over here growing another human. My stomach's huge. I have a baby who's not even walking yet, who relies on me 100%. I'm struggling to, get her in and out of bed, to do, basic chores, to do laundry, to go to the store. Like, I'm having such a hard time at this point, and I'm like, damn, like, what did I do? I'm like, I should have probably waited, or I don't know. I was just, in that moment, I started getting overwhelmed. That's when the overwhelming part started. And I'm like, okay, I'm having a really hard time and everything. I'm like, I can't wait to have the baby already, because once I have the baby, like, ya no tengo la panza, I can carry her, I can attend both of them. Things are going to get better, right? That's how I was. And I started, after I had the baby, we came home and reality hit, right? Reality hit. And now I'm like, whoa. I'm like, wait, you need a bottle and you do too? And I'm like, you need a diaper change and you need a diaper change? Like, I can't. I was like, I only have 2 hands. Like, how am I going to do this? So my mind started playing games with me. And that's when everything started, like, kicking in. I was like, my husband's going to leave to work. I remember it at that time. And my husband knows that I was coming here to the podcast and everything. And he's like, I can't wait to hear the podcast once it's ready. And we're very open about, our communication and everything. And we were struggling so much financially. We were. I still remember being in the hospital. And he was like, I need to leave to work tomorrow. And I'm like, what? We just had a baby. Like, how are you going to go back to work? And me, having to suck it in and just be like, I can't do anything about it. Like, he needs to go. He's right. We have bills to pay. And I'm like, are you sure they can't give you like an extra day? Like, how are you gonna leave the next day? That first night, the second night in the hospital that we had to stay behind, he had to come home with the kids. So we didn't even get to experience, like staying together in the hospital with the baby. He had to go take care of our kids, and then in my mind, I was like, he's gonna have to leave to work once I get home. Like, I was like, what's happening? Like, how did like this special moment just become a nightmare for me? And he's like, I'm sorry, but bills have to get paid. And I told him, it's fine, like, go, like, you need to go. I'll be fine. I'll handle it. My parents will help me. We'll be fine. And so when I did go home, that was already in my mind, and I'm like, he's gonna have to leave. He was able to stay in a few more days. I think it was 4 or 5 days that he was home. Even then, for that amount of days, it's like, no, it's hard. As the days got closer to him leaving, my mind just started like messing with me more and more, and I'm like, I can't. I remember breaking down to him, begging him, like, you cannot leave me. I'm like, I can't do this alone. I'm like, I know we just had her, like, literally we just had her and we wanted this, and I can't. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I'm asking for something that I've never asked you to do in my life like this, but I'm begging you to stay. And my husband, I know he was so strong, and he was like, I'm sorry, like, I have to go. I was like, I'm like, well, I'm over here thinking like, well, I can, go back to the club and I can do all these things, and like, we'll be fine. He's like, Steph, like, you just had a baby. You can't do that right now. You need to, rest, recover. And it was so hard. It was such a battle. And my husband was going to be coming down every weekend. So postpartum depression kicked in. It went from 0 to 100. Like, I was crying every single day. Every day I cried, and I was like, please come home. Like, I need you to come home. I would send him messages. I would send him video calls. Every time he would call me, I just would break down. I'm like, I can't. Like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not meant for this. Like, I cannot handle it. And he was like, yes, like, you got this. Like, you're such a good mom and everything. Like, my husband was so positive. He's like, I'll be there home, in the weekend. Every time he would come on the weekend, I was just like, okay, I can breathe for a few days, for a day, pretty much, a day or two. And then he would leave again, and it was back to, I can't, like, crying.
What do you think would make you flip that on you of the impossible? What do you think would flip that on you? After, obviously going through personal growth, having such a positive community, a positive support system, family, like, you sound like the I got it girl that resists, the outside external help, and what do you think happened there?
And when I was going through this, all that was crossing my mind. I'm like, Steph, wake up. Like, I remember, like, telling myself, like, Steph, you can do this. Like, you are meant to be a mom. Like, there's more to this. You got it. Like, stop putting yourself in this position. Because in our reality, I was putting myself in that position. Like, I feel like we can control so much, right? But there's, like, our emotions, they're going to do whatever they want with us. But our mind, we can control what we want to think about, the way that we want to look at things. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need to plug into our Team Beauty chats. I need to start attending events. I need to communicate with the people who actually care about me, who were communicating with me. But I was pushing everybody away. That's when I was like, you know what? I need to get back into my journey. I'm like, this is what I love to do. This is what I know how to do. I remember right after that, our 8 week got launched, and I was like, this is a call, like this is for me to join and get back on. And I took my before pictures and I started again, and I was like, I'm done with this shit. Like, I cannot be that person anymore. Like, I'm strong. I'm good. I'm enough. Like, my kids need a good mom. Like, my kids cannot have a mom that's dwelling on something that cannot happen right now. Like, my kids need a strong mom that's going to be there for them. My kids need to be healthy. I need to be healthy for them. I need to look good for them, because at this point I was just not doing my hair, my makeup, my nails, nothing. Like, I had just cut off everything completely, and I'm like, they need that happy mom again, like the mom that likes to dress up and do her hair and makeup,
Shower.
shower. So I started adjusting my life to them instead of, like, them taking over my schedule. That's where I was like, okay, you know what, like, we're gonna work out and you're gonna be here with me, and I'm gonna shower, you're gonna be here with me, I'm gonna cook and I'm gonna have you here with me, like everywhere, right? Like, obviously they had to be with me everywhere, but that's when I started like breathing, and I was like, okay, I got this, we can do it. Every day started getting better, things started moving forward, and I started, like, I even feel like the way that I would speak, the way that I would present myself started changing. I started, se me paró otra vez el pecho. Like, ya no estaba así de que, oh, screwny, and like, I can't do this. Like, that negative person started, stepping out of her shell and going back to the badass that I am. Because till this day, I'm like, you fucking got this, Steph. Like,
Yeah.
I already know how to be a mom. You already know how to have your own business, and to be the wife that your husband deserves. And it's time to show them, it's time to show them. And that's where I started changing my mentality. And Team Beauty, like I say, has always been a part of my journey. And just being on the chats and like seeing other people, and I'm like, that girl has 5 kids and she's there. She's happy, she's excited, she just had a baby, she's showing up, she's doing her hair, she's looking pretty. Like, that can be me too. And I started that's where I was like, okay, I need to stop with this depression. This depression cannot take over me. I'm choosing to let it go. I'm choosing to put her away and to bring out a new me. And today, fast forward to today, I'm a different woman. I am a mom of 3. I love my children. I love being a mom. I love being a stay-at-home mom. It's a job, but I can tell you now, like, I don't regret having my kids having that, age gap. Like, I don't regret the time frame. I would never say, like, don't do it to someone, just because my story is different. All I can share now, fast forward to now that my baby's 11 months, is that there is that light at the end of the tunnel. Things get better, things get easier, and you were meant to do this.
There's so many women right now that are struggling through that. They're struggling through depression, struggling through PCOS, struggling through maybe living a life on their own half the time because their husbands are providing, financially. They're struggling through, having a bunch of little toddlers at home. And so what would you tell them this week as they conquer their week, as they're listening to this podcast? Even there's people that don't have kids yet, right? Like, what would you tell that woman that wants to spread her wings, to feel more feminine, to feel more fierce and powerful? What would those action steps be for her that you personally took on to be able to take that on day by day?
Yes. I would say most importantly, like, communicate. Find that person that you can communicate and be raw with. Don't think that whatever you feel is wrong, because for a lot of time I felt that I was wrong for not being able to take care of myself and my children. So, communication, open your communication, surround yourself with people that truly care and love you. Do something new, get out of the same routine, change your routine, join a club, join us, join something different, right? Positive, don't linger into bad habits, instead find new habits. start working out, start, take a dance class, anything that's out of the ordinary for you. And, just believe in yourself more than anything, because when you lose yourself, when you don't think you can do it, then there's no way or no one that's gonna tell you that you can, right? Like, there's no one that's gonna say you got this, or you're never gonna understand that for yourself until you do it. So more than anything, believe in yourself and get out of your fucking routine.
Is Steph today proud of who she's standing here, looking back 12 months ago, where you were, your thoughts, your mind, and, looking at this powerful story that you just shared, what would you tell Steph a year ago?
Hi, Steph, you got this. I feel like we were talking about this recently, like with family and stuff, and my husband, I'm like, it's so crazy that I can finally say that that's something that I'm looking back at. That's no longer me. That's no longer the old Steph a year ago that was not fixing herself, feeling like she couldn't, feeling like she failed. A lot of the times I felt like a failure because I was doing my business throughout, my journey, and I let go of a lot of things, right? Because I decided to grow my family and I put things on hold. So, looking back to that old Steph, I would just let her know that she was doing nothing wrong, that everything that happened had to happen to be the person that she is today. And that I'm proud of her, that I love her, because it's not her anymore. And now it's me. I love myself. I'm happy. I love my children. And there's so much more for me to share with you guys and with this world. And Mama is always going to be the strong person that's there for her kids. And I know that my story and my journey is going to be an impact for many women that are going through it now. And that's it.
Absolutely, Steph. You have us all in tears, and your story is powerful. You are beautiful and strong and powerful. You're an amazing mother. You're also a multitasker and capable. And there's so much light that you're bringing to so many women that have already heard this podcast. So if you finish through, we want you to tag us. Tag Steph, let us know your personal takeaways, and take on this week as the warrior that you are. Take on the action steps. One new thing that you can add into your life that is going to make you feel powerful, that is going to make you feel good. And that is this episode with Miss Stephanie Rios. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.